I want to talk coach ranking list. And Steve Sipple is a coach rankings junkie.
I am. I don't mind saying that.
With some of these lists, and there were two that were put out, one by Stewart Mandel and then one by Bruce Feldman of The Athletic. And on the Feldman list, Matt Rhule came in, I believe, at number 18.
Yeah, and that makes sense, right? That's where Matt would belong. Now, Mandel curiously didn't rank Rhule. Now, why am I interested in these things? Because these guys that are ranking them, Stewart Mandel, Feldman, have been around college football forever, like us, and it's their, life to size up these coaches and size up various things in college football. And it's perspective. I mean, I think this is a great time of year to gain some perspective. Who are the leading coaches? Who are the big dogs? Rhule 18th on Feldman's list, not in Stewart Mandel's. The list is fascinating this year in part because why, Sean? Saban's not on it. Harbaugh's not on it. There's some big, so it shook up the top. Kirby, of course, Kirby Smart's number 1. But look at the top of the list.
Lane Kiffin's at 11, which
well, hold on. Look at the top of the list. Kirby Smart's number 1, obviously. But Feldman has Lance Leipold number 3. Stewart Mandel has Lance Leipold number 2. Number 2. The second best coach in America. That's Lance Leipold. It's interesting to me because the guy was at UNO not that long.
Well, there was a time you've known Lance for over 20 years closely.
Well, 30.
And there was a time where he couldn't get a job.
Right.
And as far as like a Power 5 level assistant position.
Right.
And he essentially took a job on the level of Nebraska Wesleyan.
Yeah.
To show people that he could coach. Mm-hmm. And he did.
Yeah. And now look at him.
I mean, because Division III football is Nebraska Wesleyan, and he went to Wisconsin Whitewater.
Yeah, Whitewater's a power, but yeah,
Lance Leipold and Kellen DeBoer are really not much different in that they had to kind of start at the very, very bottom, and they were not given anything.
100% right. There's one thing, Sean, I think you would agree with me on that's informative, and this is something. Here's an example of why I like these lists. Okay, Chris Klieman, Kansas State coach, is number 16 on Stewart Mandel's list. This is what Stewart Mandel writes. Like Leipold and DeBoer, Klieman's lower level success, and that's 4 FCS championships at North Dakota State, has translated at the highest level. Now, why is that important to me? Because there's a tendency sometimes of people to say, oh, the guy's just winning at NAIA.
Like Terry Allen when he went to Kansas.
Yeah, what does that matter?
Like Terry Allen was a Northern Iowa national championship coach.
Right.
Didn't work out at Kansas.
Right.
It's not easy. It doesn't always transition.
It doesn't always, but it can. So what I'm saying, what's informative to me in my role is don't dismiss those guys. Don't dismiss a guy at the FCS level who's winning big, because it can translate. Because I just whipped off 3 coaches that are hitting at a high level at the very top level.
Craig Bohl.
Craig Bohl hit
to a lower, lesser. He was older. I think that hurt him. But like, look what he did. He stabilized Wyoming.
He absolutely did. So that's an example of why these lists are informative. There's some things that are interesting about him to me.
Sarkisian at 13 is low.
Seems low. If you think that's low, on Stewart Mandel's list, Dan Lanning is at 25, which I don't understand that at all. If I'm picking 5 coaches right now to lead a program, Lanning's probably on my list.
Like Matt Campbell's still at 21.
Which list?
On the Mandel list.
On Mandel, yeah.
No, or on the Mandel list. Sorry.
Yeah.
But that seems. Look, Matt Campbell took him to the Fiesta Bowl during the shortened COVID season. Like, they beat an Oregon team in the Fiesta Bowl that had played like 3 games the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had a great year, but like I still don't look at Campbell as like ahead of Mark Stoops and Jed Fish and Josh Heupel. I'm sorry. And Dan Lanning.
Okay, good job. Megan's got the list up. So it's number 1, Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart, Sean. Let's think about one stat. 27 straight SEC regular season wins. 27 straight SEC. How do you do that? 27 straight SEC regular season wins
in those venues on the road.
I mean, that can't continue. Lance 2, Kalen DeBoer 3, Mike Norvell.
I think Norvell's a tick high.
As do I.
Like, I mean,
do I.
There was a time where him and Scott Frost were kind of peers, the Memphis, Central Florida, and if Nebraska didn't get Frost back then, Norvell was a guy they were going to consider, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know that. You might be right. I would say this about Norvell and being ranked 4th on Stewart Mandel's list. It just seems like a bleeding heart journalist move to me. Florida State got screwed out of making the college football playoff, and a lot of the journalists were appalled. So let's put him.
Let me ask you this:
let's give him a nod. Let's give him the nod here.
If Alabama under Nick Saban would have been screwed out of a playoff team, do you think Alabama would ever get beat that bad at a game? No, I don't.
Thank you for saying that. I totally agree with you.
Nick Saban would have his army ready to fight.
Right.
He would not say, "Oh, we don't care about the Sugar Bowl."
Right.
Or whatever. I forget what bowl it wasn't the Sugar Bowl, whatever bowl they were in, but
they got pulverized.
Orange Bowl. Was it the Orange Bowl?
Yeah, whatever it was. They got pulverized.
And
everybody apologized for him.
If you're a good coach, you get your players to still play.
I would think so.
When Nebraska played in the Orange Bowl against Virginia Tech after they had just played for national championships back-to-back years, that had to be a major letdown. And that Osborne still got those guys to play.
Osborne didn't have opt-outs though, and Norvell had a lot of opt-outs. Okay, I mean you got that. Yeah, you have to factor that in this day. It's a day and age question. Florida State got ravaged.
When Alabama didn't make the playoff though, with Bryce Young and the linebacker,
didn't have opt-outs.
They played. They played against Kansas State.
They played. They hammered Kansas State. Kansas State stuck in there for the first half.
Yeah, and then they got a goal line stand. But I don't know. I just have a hard time.
We are like-minded on this subject. I was disheartened by the way Florida State showed up for that game. Everybody apologized for him. I was like,
Saban never would have had a team do that. Never.
So Norvell 4. Kyle Whittingham 5. I'd put him ahead of Norvell. I would put Brian Kelly, who's 6, ahead of Norvell. I would put Ryan Day at 7 ahead of Norvell. I would put Dabo Sweeney at 8 ahead of Norvell.
Am I crazy that I would take Jeff Braum over Norvell?
Braum is a little low on this list.
18.
Yeah, list. Low. He's low.
Look what
it's almost like they forgot about him.
Look what Jeff Braum did at Purdue, but then look what he did right away at Louisville.
Think about what Stewart Mandel wrote here. I'm puzzled why I didn't have Braum on the list at all last year after winning the division title in his last season at Purdue. Braum wasn't even ranked. No, they got him low.
Braum is, and our friend Tom Dienhard from Golden Black gave us a lot of good insight over the years. Braum's a very meat and potatoes, under the radar guy.
Yeah.
The team has 2 media members that covers it. It's not like when he was at Purdue, he didn't have a lot of spotlight on him.
Right. Again, these lists to me are and I'm not being critical of Stewart. These are subjective.
It would be hard.
Yeah, these are subjective opinions. It would be.